Hi, I'm Missy Ryan Harris, real estate agent here in Austin, Texas, and today we are talking about what it's like to raise your family here in Austin. I was thinking about you sitting at home, typing into YouTube what you wanted to hear, and I figured you might be wondering what it's like to have young kids here in the city of Austin, and I'm here to tell you. Let's kick it off. Hands down, the first thing I think about when I think about raising a family in Austin is the family-friendly nature of Austin when it comes to restaurants. So we had some friends visiting from California. They didn't know what to expect. They got here and they had little kids. We said to them, well, let's go to the distilleries. And they said, okay, that sounds like fun. Well, gosh, we're gonna have to get a babysitter. And my husband and I looked at each other, we're like, no, you don't have to get a babysitter. And they were like, what? There is a playground, there are slides, there are swings, there are wide open spaces at the distillery. And they looked at us and they said, a kid-friendly distillery? And we were like, yes, a kid-friendly distillery. That is what it's like here in Austin. There are breweries with playgrounds, there are restaurants with playgrounds.
So there's the restaurant right there, and you can see here is the play set. This is where the kids can just run out and play. It's all enclosed while their parents are right in this little covered area. Here's another restaurant, and right inside that area is where the covered outside dining is. Then they also have tables out under the trees and another playground. You can see there aren't kids out right now. It's not dinner time, but when the weather's nice and it's dinner time, these places are pretty packed.
What parent doesn't want to, have their kids occupied and not on an iPad? They're not sitting in a restaurant on an iPad waiting for the food to come. They're outside playing.
I don't know what else to say about it. It's awesome. It makes the dining experience that much better with your kids. Indoor activity. I'm going to get to the outdoor activities, but first I'm going to start with indoor activities. There are a lot of trampoline parks. Trampoline parks, warehouses with bounce houses in them, obstacle courses and climbing walls. Even some of the gyms have kid areas that are insane. Climbing walls, kids zone is very family friendly here again in that aspect. Okay, the music scene here in Austin. Everybody talks about how Austin is the live music capital of the world. It's so true. Or is it live music capital of the country or the world? I don't know. It's the live music capital. There are a lot of outdoor venues where there is live music all the time and lots of festivals. So South by Southwest, Austin City Limits, and the list goes on and on and on. So can you bring kids to those kinds of things? Yes. I think that most people probably aren't bringing their kids, but there are people that do. So if it's your thing, totally, you can do it. Here's what I love about the music scene in Austin when it comes to kids. If you have a child who is a musician, there are open mic nights here at places around town and in the suburbs where kids are going up and getting on stage and performing on a regular basis.
I'm going to be doing Cowboy Sweetheart.
So if you have a family that's into music, this is a great place to be. All right, let's talk about neighborhood living here in Austin. If you are imagining or thinking back to your childhood when you ran out the front door and were playing with friends down the street, and you want that same thing for your kids, and you're considering moving to Austin, then I think you're right on the money. You can definitely find that here in Austin. This is the Haynes family. They moved here from California about a year and a half ago, and this is what they have to say about the neighborhood they picked.
A couple weeks after we moved here, we have a tree swing, and I looked out and there were 5 kids on the tree swing, and I was like, this is why we moved here. We're not talking about pre-arranging a play date, meeting at a park or anything. This is just spontaneous kids just playing after school.
Okay, let's talk outdoor activities here in Austin, especially when it comes to family life. There are so many places to take your kids and go hiking in and around the city of Austin. Google it. You will see tons of places to park on the side of the highway and explore down the trails. When it gets hot outside, swimming holes are the place to be. And it's so fun to jump in that pool water on a hot summer day here in Texas. There's also Lake Travis, which is on the west side of town. Boating life is big here. There are other spots here all around Lake Travis where you can just go pull up to the lake and have some fun. Depending on the lake levels, you know, the jump off spots will be higher or lower for you and your kids. But that's a fun day too. It's just jumping in off of the rocks on the side of Lake Travis. I wouldn't say Austin has the best parks, but there are plenty of parks here to take your kids to and play on the playground. And also splash pads, those are big here. You can find those scattered throughout town at shopping centers or city centers. Those are fun, especially for the little kids. And that leads us to what we should talk about next, which is pool days in Austin. This is the deal when it comes to a pool. You have to have access to a pool when you live here in Austin. It gets very hot in the summer. So obviously, if you don't have one at your house and you don't have one in your neighborhood, at least maybe at an amenity center, you have to find one at maybe the local YMCA or like a city pool that you will have access to in the summer.
Once we actually lived here and realized how hot it gets in the summer and how much the kids love to swim, we were so thankful that we moved to a neighborhood that had a pool here in the neighborhood.
I think one of the most important things you need to consider when moving to a new place is the public school system if you have kids who are school aged. Greatschools.org. That's where you need to go, and you can check the ratings of all the schools in and around Austin. Here's what I can tell you about the schools here, and this is really great. You know, there's a lot of pride in Texas, a lot of state pride. So if you were used to saying the Pledge of Allegiance when you grew up and went to school, not only do the kids here in Texas say the Pledge of Allegiance, they say the Texas Pledge every single morning. So here it is. I took a screenshot of it the last time I went to one of my kids' school assemblies, which was before COVID, and there it is, the Texas Pledge. At school here, your kids are going to learn about the Alamo, they're going to learn about the local Native American tribes, and they will probably most likely learn how to square dance in PE. This one really shouldn't be toward the end of the list because I feel like when you think about sports, it's almost synonymous with Texas, and youth sports are big here. Do I think they're bigger here in Texas than they are in other areas? I'm not so sure about that, and I'm sure that you can find drama on the sidelines of many youth sports games anywhere you go in the country. But youth sports are big here. There are so many sports to pick and choose from for your kids to play, and there are a lot of eyes on the local high schools here as far as recruiting goes for college sports. So if you are really into sports, this is a place you might want to be to have a lot of eyes on your kids, but it's also very competitive. If you're interested in your child being in youth sports, but maybe you just want to do it recreationally and not put a huge emphasis on it, there is totally a space for that here, and a lot of kids have a lot of fun out on the sports field. So this is a great place to be for youth sports. Okay, I really just wanted to say one more thing about raising kids in Texas and in Austin in particular. You're going to be in the car a lot with your kids if you're taking them anywhere. When I say in the car a lot, I mean probably at least about 15 minutes, no matter where you go, sometimes up to 30. If you want to go to the trampoline park on the other side of town, maybe it's going to take you 45 minutes. So yeah, there is a lot of driving here in Texas, in Austin. All right, I hope you got some useful information that you can use when you're considering whether or not you want to raise your family here in Austin, Texas. I am on Instagram. Please follow me there. Missy Ryan Harris, that's my handle. I'm also putting out a video every week here on YouTube. Look for it on Wednesdays. And yeah, I would love it if you liked and click subscribe. I am really looking forward to doing these videos for you every week, and I hope that this is helpful information. See you next time.